This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Grant, it's Monday. It's the first day of school. Are you excited? Are you living? Are you living the dream? College, advancements in your career. Woo! No?
No.
Do we need a moment of silence?
Yes, moment of silence. We should have taps playing in memory.
In memoriam.
Of all the lost fallen souls today.
The many men and women that will lose their academic lives
Sure.
for another school year.
Their sanity.
Until Jesus cometh back at finals week and graduation and brings them home. Well, I will enjoy not going to college anymore because I graduated, so.
Yeah, you jerk.
It happens.
Whatever.
Yeah, it happens. You know, you graduate, you move on, and that's part of life. Everybody goes through it, Grant. You will get there one day.
Maybe. We'll see.
I believe in you. Well, anyway, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We have an exciting show for you today. The no-hitters continue to just roll out of Major League Baseball. We're going to be chatting about that. For those of you that are out there that are Packers or Philadelphia Eagles fans, we're going to be looking back on the preseason game. Grant has his rant. Connor Christensen will have his fitness tip. And then our first segment we'll be getting to in just a moment. I'm not going to give it away yet, but let's just say it involves trading, and it involves a person who has 2 letters and a number that he identifies with in the football world. We'll get to that in a moment. But anyway, just a quick reminder for you that you can catch us Monday through Friday right here, live from 7 to 8 a.m. Central on Spreaker.com. You can also hear us from 11 to 1 Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com. They have a brand new website. It's beautiful. It's sleek. It's exciting. Go check it out. You can also catch us on demand anytime on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and on Spreaker as well.
And then you can also find us on social media at Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show, or you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at BG Sports Show. And Baxter's personal Twitter is at Baxter Colburn, and mine is at Grant's Rant, BGSS. And for Instagram, if you use the hashtag the Bax Grant Sports Show, your picture that you use the hashtag for, the picture will actually show up on Sports Radio America. So if you have anything cool to show us, just use that hashtag and we'll see it.
Yeah, it shows up on their new website, Grant. It shows up right on the front page. So I went to the new page because it's just all of their Instagram feeds, like right on the homepage. And I was looking and I scrolled down. It was 18 pictures of us. I was like, what? And then I'm like, oh, our Instagram feed is live. I was like, this is a little creepy. What the heck is going on? And I'm like, we're obviously our Instagram game is obviously on fleek right now. So
it's on point. On fleek is just for losers.
Well, okay. Well, we're not going to deal with that. But and then one other side time, if you ever decide to want to get a hold of us, you can email the show at bgsportsshow@gmail.com. And then if you have any comments or questions or anything, you can call and leave us a voicemail, or you can text us at 262-324-2385 during the show, after the show, before the show, anytime during the show. And a special shout-out to all of you that are watching us live on Periscope as well. We appreciate your viewership and listenership. All right, Grant. Well, when it comes to the sports world, as we know, there's usually a revolving door for some players. Some players, they will lock in their contracts with their respective teams and stay for years.
Right.
Sometimes there's mutual departures, between the teams. Say, hey, I served my 3 years at this team. I'd like to become a free agent, move on. Okay, no hard feelings, etc. But it just continues to seem that no matter what happens, Washington Redskins and RG3 are having a hard time getting together. They had a fantastic first year together. And then ever since then, he had his injury, and he just continues to see a downward spiral in his career. And now there's even been reports from ESPN that he might even be traded.
Right. And I like the article that you found on Fansided talking about this, written by Danny Bostic. He described it as like an obnoxious couple that posts their lives all over social media.
I hate those couples.
And you can see the progression.
I might be one of those couples, but I hate those couples.
You can just see the progression from just happiness and all they can be is being around each other, like it definitely was at the beginning of his career. Mm-hmm. And now it's all over the place that now they just hate each other.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly to make of it, honestly, because Robert Griffin III, like I said, he came into the league his rookie year, blew the doors off the NFL. arguably had one of the best rookie seasons we've seen in a long time. Took the Redskins to the playoffs, ended up playing longer than he should have, and ended up tearing his ACL because he was already injured going into the playoff game, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. He never fully recovered, and then we've seen him go back and forth even this preseason. First preseason game, he does okay. He gets his socks pretty much rattled off in one of their other preseason games, and then he was projected to play in their last game, and then 24 hours before the game, he was came out that he was not fit, or I forget exactly what it was, but he also wasn't playing. And now, what happens? There's these, even though they're rumors, there's still rumors that he might be traded.
And it's from a lot of places. Like, I've been hearing it a lot yesterday that there are rumors of him being traded, and that brings up the question, is it RG3, or is it something with the Redskins, the Redskins organization, because there's been problems with player-team relations in the past. So is this really all RG3? Because, I mean, people a lot of the time say, oh, it's a player, they have a bad attitude. But is it really the player in this situation? Because in my standpoint, RG3 has actually been one of the more stand-up players in the league. He doesn't seem to have a lot of problems. And I mean, yeah, he hasn't been the best quarterback since his ACL tear, but I mean, he still actually has some talent.
He does.
I'm still a little bit of a closet RG3 believer.
Are you really?
Yeah, he has to show me something first before I come out and say, oh yeah, he's got potential.
Okay.
But look at his rookie season. He had a fantastic rookie season.
He did.
One of the better rookie seasons. That was a fantastic rookie class.
Yeah.
But then after the ACL injury, he has never been like he has been before. But I mean, we know he can play at a certain level, so he's not a bad quarterback. And then bouncing off of that, so if he is going to be traded, who would he go to?
Yes, and that's exactly what Danny Bostic of Fansided.com was asking. He said, all right, he offered 5 potential landing spots that he could be traded to if and only if. Obviously, we don't know the workings in and outside of what's going on in the front office, but Bostic added 5 different ones. The first one, Grant, is the Houston Texans, which makes kind of sense because RG3, he went to Baylor in Texas. So he's familiar with the Texans.
Right.
Maybe. Their quarterback situation this year is not great. Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett.
I'm actually a big Brian Hoyer believer.
I don't mind him.
I like Brian Hoyer.
I don't mind him.
I think he did well in Cleveland. Cleveland did pretty good when he was there. He had the bad 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
They took him out and then just sat him for the rest of the season. Like, okay, you're done. You gave us, I think, 5 wins. He went 5-2, 5-2 or something like that.
Was it 5-2 or 5-3? But they were just looking for a reason.
Yeah,
to get Johnny Manziel on the field.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they were trying to do, and I think he was treated pretty poorly. And I'm like, 5-3. That's not a bad record for a struggling organization.
Yeah,
they should be happy
for
with
the Browns.
5-3.
That's actually like almost a Super Bowl year.
Yeah, pretty much. So I think Brian Hoyer's going to do well. I don't think Ryan Mallett's all that great of a quarterback.
No,
but I mean, when there is a quarterback battle, that might not be the best thing in the world when it's between Brian Hoyer and Ryan Mallett.
Yeah, I think Hoyer's that clear winner in that one, honestly. It just doesn't make sense that Mallett would be being considered.
Right.
But look at Buffalo, for God's sakes. Like, Tyrod Taylor? Anyway. The next destination is, ironically enough, the Cleveland Browns, Grant. Johnny Manziel and Josh McCown battling it out. That would be an interesting one because Cleveland, I feel like they're just trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And maybe Washington could pick up something needed from them. They could trade for a running back. Not necessarily a running back, but they could trade for some of their defensive players. Maybe they could take Manziel or McCown off their hands.
I mean, because honestly, Manziel or McCown is not the answer for the Browns.
No, but we haven't seen a full. I would love to see at least an 8-game stretch with Johnny Manziel.
I mean, I guess that'd be interesting, and he did go through the recovery this past offseason, so his head is a little, in a better place right now. He's mentally, we're assuming, a little better, so hopefully that can help with his game on the field. We don't know, but we'll see this coming season. It'll be definitely interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah.
The next team, then, is the Buffalo Bills.
Which is interesting.
I mean, they have E.J. Manuel, Tyrod Taylor, and Matt Castle.
Well,
I mean,
What's the lesser of three evils out of those three? Matt Castle? No, I don't think. I would normally have said yes, but he's even struggled. And the fact that the rumors are that Tyrod Taylor might be the starting quarterback in Buffalo. What's going on with Buffalo?
They need some help down there.
Rex Ryan, I feel like I don't know what to do. He's a great defensive coach, but I think like his history with quarterbacks, the last few teams he's been on, has just been crap.
Well, I'm shooting off his mouth, and I think that's what gets him a lot of crap.
Well,
I think what gets him into trouble more often than not is how he shoots off his mouth. Just look at what the Jets sang, like, with how they were going to take out the Patriots, yada, 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 when clearly the Patriots had the better team. I mean, take that for what it's worth. But do you think RG3 could make a big enough impact, with the Buffalo Bills, even though he has been struggling?
I think you could. I think that it would be nice to see Robert Griffin III and Sammy Watkins on the same team, and LaShawn McCoy. I think if you put those three guys together who are mobile, and I think Tyrod Taylor's kind of like a poor man's version of that because he's fairly mobile, but I don't know if he has the same kind of arm strength that RG3 has. So being able to see Sammy Watkins and LaShawn McCoy and potentially RG3 all on the same team, I think would do wonders.
Right, and do you think that, not even just with the Bills, do you think that he can make an impact anywhere?
It's going to have to be a team that's desperate for a quarterback. Like the next team on the list is the San Francisco 49ers. Colin Kaepernick and RG3 are virtually the same person.
Yeah.
And I almost think I like Kaepernick better.
I mean, he does have a solid cannon.
Like it's kind of like it's the same thing like with Buffalo. What's the lesser of two evils here between RG3 and Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah, they're kind of the same. Like what you were saying, they had great, fantastic rookie seasons. Kaepernick came out, absolutely destroyed the Packers in back-to-back years.
Yeah,
and Kaepernick had more than a solid rookie season, but he destroyed the Packers back-to-back years in the playoffs. And he's a great quarterback. Then all of a sudden this last year, he just falls off the planet of the earth, does not perform well. But yeah, him and RG3 have similar playing styles. I think Kaepernick, I would say that Kaepernick is probably, I would keep him over RG3. I really wouldn't want to trade for somebody that has an ACL injury and hasn't really.
I was going to say, it's at that point, too, where it's like, is this a trade to better another team, or is this a trade to just have Washington wash their hands?
I think that's more or less what would happen.
I think so, too. No, I'd have to agree with you on that one. And then the last one, that is the last team that FanSided's Danny Bostic thinks maybe would be the New York Jets. And honestly, at this point, I mean, if Matt Flynn might be the answer.
Matty Flynn is the answer in New York.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Geno Smith, I don't know. The Jets are just a hot mess, as they always are.
Always.
They need to bring Broadway Joe out of retirement. Or Vinny Testaverde. Or Chad Pennington. Those guys. They knew how to win.
Vinny Testaverde, that's old.
Vinny Greentree.
That's going back.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we've got Grant's Rant. He's locked and loaded. More issues, Grant, in the baseball world.
More issues.
We're going to hit on that when we come back. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant, it is time for the best part of the show, where we just talk about nothing but soccer. No, I'm just kidding. I won't do that to you.
Please no.
It's time for your rant, Grant.
I'm just so confused.
You're like, I thought I was doing my rant, and now we're talking about soccer. Wait, what's going on?
So I'm just basically going to check out.
Yeah, right.
Bye.
When we talk about soccer, or I should say when I talk about soccer with our guests, Grant is just kind of like, all right.
Sounds good.
I'm going to go lay on the couch in the studio because I don't have that kind of time.
Bathroom break.
Yeah, exactly. Grant gets coffee, does his taxes, fills out financial aid forms for
Write a
college.
novel.
He does. He wrote 3 on Friday when Simon Mitchell and I talked about the UEFA Champions League draw.
Hey, I was paying attention. That was interesting.
I know.
And how he pronounced that one team's name.
Oh, the
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you got the name right on the head. When he said it, I was like, oh, my goodness.
Because literally the night before on the other show that I host for Sports Radio America 2 up front, we were talking about it. And we got to that name, and I'm like, that one team, that's Mako, whatever. And I'm like, it's not important, whatever. And then the next day, Simon's like, here it is. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
It's like he stood in front of a mirror and practiced for about a solid 5 minutes so he could get that done. Just perfectly. No mistake in his voice. Just right on through.
I was like, wait, what was that? He's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what?
Excuse you?
Don't be talking to you. Simon, we barely know each other. How dare you say that about my mother? No, I'm kidding. All right, Grant. Well, you have a minute on the clock. The way it works, folks, is that Grant gets 1 minute to rant about anything he wants in the sports world, and then we usually take about 2 to 3 minutes to hash it out in further detail. But Grant's rant is he has to get all of his main points, his main goulash into it. So are you ready, sir?
I'm ready.
On your mark, get set, go.
Gregory Murray, age 60, is the recent casualty in this epidemic now of baseball fan injuries. And I've said this even last week where the balls and the bats were going into the stands, and now somebody has died. He fell from section 402 all the way to the lower 200s, almost basically onto the 100 levels or closer to the field. He almost landed he fell about 60 feet.
Jeez.
It was absolutely horrible. He hit some of the wiring for the netting. They performed CPR on scene, and they left. And he was said to have been shouting at, I believe it was Alex Rodriguez, who was coming up to bat, and then he lost his, slipped and fell. And yes, this is not really anything that the Braves can do, but there should be some safety because this is not the first time it's happened, and this is not the first time that it has happened in the Atlanta Braves stadium at Turner Field.
If that's not the first time something like this has happened, I feel like, whoever the safety organization is that runs Major League Baseball needs to come in and be like, all right, we need to figure things out. Because I've been to some games at Miller Park, and I'm like, honestly, if I, cough the wrong way, I can fall and plummet to my death, basically.
Right.
I get it. You want to have fans up high. You want to be able to take in the whole ballpark. Well, that's great and all. But if you make things too steep, if you make them slippery, if you do anything of that, people are going to potentially hurt themselves, especially when you mix in alcohol as well. And I'm not saying Gregory maybe had any alcohol or not in the system, but still, at baseball games, at any sporting event, I've even seen some stands at football games, and I'm like, good Lord. I'm like, if they
it's ridiculous.
If you look at certain college stadiums and stuff, they have that back, the farthest stand that you can have, way up high, they have a brick wall behind them, maybe 5 or 6 feet tall at the most,
and then it's just
it just drops
parking lot right there.
That's what we've seen Dude Perfect when they shoot over the back and it drops down. It's if you do something weird or whatever, you could fall and just boom, you're gone. Safety needs to be a bigger issue here.
Yeah,
I feel
definitely. And I believe this has been the 3rd death at Turner Field.
That is insane. That's almost like the Braves are cursed.
Well, and it's not at Turner Field, that's the only place where people have died.
I would be concerned if it was, because if it was just happening at Turner Field, I'd be like, all right, this needs to happen now.
And then people are getting gravely injured, put in the hospital. A guy committed suicide a couple of years ago.
At the field?
At the field.
Why?
It was just the most convenient place, I guess, because just how it was built. He just jumped and committed suicide that way.
Well, I mean, I could walk outside and jump off the stairs and commit suicide that way if I wanted to.
I don't know.
That's a choice. We're not going to get into suicide talk right now, but that's okay. That's just weird.
Yeah, it was in 2013. Braves, but they were at Philadelphia. Or no, it was at Turner Field, excuse me. He jumped 85 feet from an upper level.
Oh, jeez.
So that is one of the deaths there. And then there was somebody else that fell down the stairwell, I believe. And then there's There's been other situations, and sometimes it has to do with alcohol, and then you can say, oh, well, clearly that is in that person's judgment. To a degree, yes, I completely agree with you. But then at the same time, it is the field that is serving the alcohol, and then you go and build these fields that it is easy to hurt yourself or fall. So, I mean, I'm not saying to stop selling alcohol at games because then some people are just not going to go anymore. And it's like, that's a whole camaraderie, the field, go have a beer, a hot dog, some popcorn, and then go to the game. And I mean, that's fun and all, but at what point do you have to kind of just draw the line and build up more security or
think
make
it needs to be
safer?
now. I think the fact that anytime, even just having one death, like if it involves the fan falling anywhere in your stadium, you'd be like, all right, let's slowly bump up more. Like you can't, deaths at a baseball stadium are huge.
Right, and they happen a lot in baseball. When other do you see people dying all over the place at a football stadium?
I haven't seen it at a football stadium. Or I haven't heard about it.
Right, haven't heard of it. But it's more common in baseball. And just this article, or CNN posted an article, and they gave 3 of the more recent events of somebody dying.
Yeah,
and there were 2 in 2011 and 1 in 2013.
Jeez.
And these are the most recent. You don't have to go very far back to find them. So it's not really, I think, a very safe or healthy environment for baseball fans. And I think it has become very apparent this year, where we've had 2 put in the hospital. We've had 1 die. Years previous, we've had people die. We had the person almost get killed in a parking lot because fans beat the person up. It's just a very unsafe situation.
The sports world is just messed up because I was trying to find a way to say, well, you don't hear this stuff happen at soccer games, Grant, but you do because they kill people at soccer games.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. They really do that.
Yes. Well, there's been times where there's been reported deaths from scuffles and stuff. The worst and most disturbing one was that apparently after a game, fans didn't like the way the ref called the game, so this is in like South America. They like cornered him on the field and beheaded him. I was like, excuse me?
Jeez.
I'm like, are we in ancient Rome?
Holy cow.
I think it was like Brazil or Argentina or something, but I was like, what
Seriously,
in the world?
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought it was like a fake article, and then I like read it and I did more research, and I'm like, oh no, this actually happened. I'm like,
it's
ridiculous. Just a game.
That's ridiculous. People control yourself.
Honestly. All right, we're going to go to a break, Grant. When we come back, we're going to try to control ourselves as we take a look at the Packers-Eagles game that happened this last weekend. No Aaron Rodgers, no Scott Tolzien, no Jordy Nelson, and almost no Randall Cobb. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio. It's a Monday edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. And remember, you can listen to us 5 days a week from 7 to 8 a.m. Central right here, right now, on Spreaker.com.
Right here, right
I was trying to think of like the name of that. It was like an old song like, right here, right. I don't remember exactly what it is. But anyway, right here from 7 to 8 a.m. Central, live on Spreaker.com, and from 11 to 1 Central, 12 to 2 Eastern, tend to. I'm going to stop there. I don't
Yeah,
know. I was going to try to do it across all time zones and look super awesome, but anyway.
Now you're done.
I know. I'm done.
Shut down.
11 to 1 Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com, live 365, and tune in, and then on demand on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and on Spreaker as well.
5 days a week.
Absolutely,
coming at you.
baby. You can tweet at us at BG Sports Show. He's at Grant's Rant, BGSS, and I'm at Baxter Colburn. So we love hearing from you guys, especially when we talk about the Packers.
Always loved the
Gosh,
Packers.
I love the Packers. Who can forget the Packers?
First home preseason game.
First home preseason game, Grant. No Aaron Rodgers.
I'm fine with that.
He sat
I'm okay
out,
with that.
which is totally fine. Even Scotty T sat out as well.
I mean, that's fine, too, because he's been going absolutely ham.
He's been playing fantastic.
If hell freezes over and Aaron gets hurt again, knock on wood.
Look at you talking about Aaron like you guys are like Aaron's Bay. You're just like,
He
Aaron.
is. He's fantastic.
A-Rod is
but
Bay.
if he breaks his collarbone again or something like that,
wow.
Tolzien needs to be knocking on
Jeez,
wood.
Knocking on the studio here. Jeez.
Knocking on everything.
I'm sure Tim Tebow will be cut, so we can always go sign him.
Well, we have Tolzien. He's fine. The Packers have Tolzien.
Yes.
And he has been proving worthy. And just getting into it, let's talk about the game.
Yeah.
Now the Packers, Brett Hundley, starting the game, went up against the starting Eagles defense.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty darn good.
He threw one interception, wasn't his fault. Richard Rodgers slipped on the play, and so the defender was like, nom nom nom, interception candy. This
pick
is perfect.
Pick six candy for sure.
It's definitely when you on those slant plays on the outside when
the
it's
defender went nom 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 nom. Really?
Yeah,
that's all I got out of what you just said.
Well, when it's 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage on the outside, when there's nobody there, and it's only 30 yards to the end zone. It was
you got this.
It was nom 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 pick six candy. It was just way too easy.
Yes.
But Matt Blanchard also didn't do too bad. He had the one interception,
which was just a weird situation.
Yeah, but overall, the Green Bay quarterbacks did well, but also the Philadelphia Eagles quarterbacks. They were
Lord,
a little
please.
nuts.
They were on fire.
Sam Bradford did not miss.
Oh, my goodness, Grant. I didn't even know what to make. I was looking at this team going, it's Philly, Sam Bradford, Mark Sanchez.
Everybody's giving Sam Bradford crap, and I'm saying he's not a bad quarterback.
Sanchez and Sam Bradford combined for 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Sam Bradford had a 156.7 QBR rating. Mark Sanchez a 127.1 QBR rating.
And
take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, and Bradford was out with the starting
Bradford
defense.
was against the Packers starting defense. Bradford was 10 of 10 for 112 yards. He averaged 12 yards.
121 yards.
121 yards. He averaged 12 yards a pass.
With 3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns,
absolutely
no sacks,
nuts.
No interceptions.
Absolutely nuts.
What in the world? Even Tim Tebow went 2 for 2. For whatever that's worth.
Tim Tebow's not a bad quarterback.
Matt Barkley, 5 of 9, and Mark Sanchez, 13 of 19. So I want to just, for those of you that obviously don't know, the Eagles won 39-26. So the Eagles were up 25-0 at the end of the first quarter with most of the starters all still in. The thing that really stood out to me, Grant, and I want to hear what stood out to you as well, the thing that stood out to me the most was something that we already know. Number 1, the horrible pass defense. And number 2, the even horribler. I had to add an X more ers on there.
Okay.
Rush defense.
I mean,
DeMarco Murray, Darian Sproles, and Ryan Matthews were all like, excuse me, and we're just running everywhere. Yes, statistically, yardage-wise, they don't have a ton of yards, but the way
only got a couple carries.
The only way they ran, though, when they got those carries, look at this. DeMarco Murray averaging 4.7 yards a carry. Ryan Matthews, 3.1. Okay, not too bad. But Darian Sproles out of the backfield with the amount of catches that he had was ridiculous. He had 2 catches for 41 yards, and he had one of those was a touchdown. Anytime that any of those, the Legion of Zoom touched the ball, the Packers defense could barely figure out what was going on.
Well, that's same old Packers defense. It's something you just have to get used to. But yes, it is not what it's up to. Clay Matthews did not play again. It's just been a struggle for the Packers defense. The first preseason game actually went fairly well for the Packers. And then the second one, not so well. And now the third one against the Eagles just did not go well at all. The defense struggled. The offense struggled. So it has been definitely a big thing, a big major concern. And for me, what's the biggest concern with the defense is the pass defense. Because, yes, in years past, the Packers' pass defense has not been horrible.
No, I get it.
It definitely could. It could be better, but I would take it. It's not the worst thing in the world, but the defense was just not onto it Saturday night. Not at all.
And I think it kind of all goes back to one thing that I've ragged on the Packers for a long time is the lack of pass rush. Where's the pass rush? Where's the front defensive linemen that are blowing through the middle, making sacks, taking down people? There was only one sack on the night. Matt Barkley was sacked, and by that point, that's third-string people that are in.
Right.
And that doesn't count for anything, Grant. You're not going to be facing third-string Philadelphia Eagles or anybody linemen this year if you're the Packers. It's ridiculous. You don't not generate pass protection. That's why the secondary continues to get torched on a weekly basis, because they're not getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
Yeah, that is very true.
There's no reason that a guy like Jay Cutler, who's an okay quarterback, can sometimes have some of his best games against the Packers. I get it's a rivalry game, whatever. But even still, Matt Stafford, Teddy Bridgewater, none of those guys that I just listed are elite quarterbacks. And they all still manage to play fairly well when it comes to divisional games. But even just looking at the Packers as a whole, not to take anything away from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not an elite quarterback. There's no reason that he should be posting great numbers the way he does sometimes when he plays the Packers.
Right.
Even
exactly.
Colin Kaepernick, for gosh sakes.
Right.
When Colin Kaepernick had his breakout playoff game, who was he? Nobody knew exactly who this guy even was. Like, oh, he's a semi-mobile quarterback. And then the lack of pass rush opened the gates, and Colin Kaepernick was like, all right, I'm going to make the Packers my you-know-what and just destroy them. And that's exactly what he did, because they have no pressure.
Well, yeah, and then so basically the Packers' best defense is their offense. And by putting up enough numbers to win the game.
But at what point, though? Like, you can't always rely on Aaron Rodgers to throw 350 and 4 touchdowns.
That's the problem. That's the problem now. They just have to figure it out. And, I mean, it's a preseason game.
Yes.
So, Packer fans, just hold out to the regular season. Hopefully the defense gets their lives together. Everything works out. And then Clay Matthews coming back, that'll open things up. I don't know how many of the starters. I don't know if all the starters did start.
I don't know.
I don't think all the starters played. But anyway, switching gears to the big issue coming out of that game, or one of the big issues, is the injury to Randall Cobb.
Yes. Yep.
I think the entire state of Wisconsin stopped moving when they saw him. First of all, make a fantastic catch that they said wasn't
a catch. Yeah.
Didn't count in a preseason game. Gets up injured, holding his arm just after the Packers' number one receiver goes down.
Yeah.
I think everybody just about stopped and cried. I was at a wedding and
don't cry at a wedding, Grant. That's bad karma.
I know it is bad. And they had TV in one of the other rooms, and I was watching, and I came in when it happened, and I told some people, and everybody just looked at me that it was absolutely nuts. And then just you could see just a steady stream of people going out of the reception hall into the bar where the TV was and watching,
whispering to each other Randall.
Yeah, hopefully. So the Packers, they did screens on Sunday, looked at it. It wasn't a collarbone. At first, people were like, "Oh no, it's what happened to Aaron Rodgers." His collarbone's gone. Packer season is done. People were freaking out. But thankfully, it is just a minor shoulder sprain.
Yes.
What have they've said it was. And he is not for sure for the first week. But you never know. He could come back. It's against the Bears, so you never really know if they're going to definitely need him or not. But I mean,
Bears,
you would always want.
You want him there, but at the same time, I would maybe hold him out and let him come back against Seattle.
Yeah, we'll see how he's playing.
Yes,
but I agree with you. I'd much rather have Randall Cobb 100%. Don't want to risk losing him at all.
No,
because if you lose Randall Cobb, people were saying, "Well, who do you go to now?" Davante Adams as your number one. I'd be scared for that because if you listen to the show at all, you know I'm not a big Davante Adams fan.
No.
But as soon as Cobb went down, they pulled him.
They did, yeah. And Devontae Adams didn't even record a stat. He's got 0 stats. Now, I want to give out some awards, Grant. I want to give out my – is it the 3 stars of the game is hockey? That's a thing, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And is it 1, like you work your way up from 1 to 3, or is it 3 to 1?
3 to 1.
Okay, so my 3rd star of the game, and you can do this as well. I'm curious to know yours. My 3rd star of the game has to be Jeff Janis for the Packers.
All right.
Jeff Janis, I thought that he played well. He got a touchdown. He had 3 catches for 27 yards. Did a good job. I mean, on 3 targets, so that's good. Averaged 24 yards a catch. My 2nd star of the game has to go to Brett Hundley. I thought that he played very well, exceptionally well, honestly. And he goes 22 for 31 for 315 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Whatever. He's only got sacked 1 time. It was great to see a very mobile quarterback running around. And then my 1st star of the game for the Packers has to go to Miles White.
Yeah, he had a fantastic game, and I have been saying for a while, because I'm always saying who's going to be the Packers' 5th wide receiver, and I'm really a big Aberdarius fan because he was like the only good Badger receiver for a while, and then he comes over to the Packers. He's been having injury issues, so who really knows if he's going to get a chance? That left the door open for Miles White, and you, Baxter, have been saying it for a while that he's a great receiver, and I've been saying
great.
Well,
he's a good receiver.
He's a good.
Yes.
He's good to fill the 5th spot.
Yes,
is basically what I'm saying. You've been saying he's been good to fill the 5th spot, and I'm like, well, he hasn't really proven anything.
Because Aberdarius hasn't been able to play.
Right.
And I've only been going off of what's been seeing. If Aberdarius had been able to play, I might be singing a different song right now.
Definitely. But since he hasn't been, it leaves the opportunity for new players to come in. And Miles White had a great game, like you said.
Led all receivers on both teams.
9 receptions, 89 yards, 9.9 average. He was targeted 12 times, and his longest catch was 20 yards. Now, the big catch for me was...
I know. I've got one. I'm assuming it's the same one.
Yeah, it's when he had that ridiculous play. It was a great pass. Great pass by Hundley. He threw it up there. White turns around.
Yes.
Grabs it with one hand, and he's basically being pulled down to the ground by his face mask. The flag was thrown on the play. Pass interference was called, but he still made the catch.
What a boy.
One-handed.
Way to be, Miles.
As he's falling down
backwards. And where are
backwards.
the headlines on that, Grant? Where are the headlines? Where's the Madden cover for that one?
Well,
just because he made a great spectacular one-handed catch, where is everything for that?
It was not as good as Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch. I'm just going to say, because the ball was like right next to his body. He had more control. Odell, the ball was like his arm length and then some away from his body. He had to go over another defender as he was being torn down by another defender and still made the grab by his fingers with one hand. I mean, that's a little bit different.
I suppose. I'll give it to you, Grant. All right, well, either way, the Green Bay Packers, they lose at home. They will take on another team that I can't remember right now next week. They take on... Why am I spacing? I should know this, Grant. Who the heck did the Packers play in their final preseason
I'm spacing
game?
Too.
They played the Saints. There we go.
There you go.
I was like, I know it's some team. Anyway, they play the Saints next week on Thursday. So check them out.
Quick turnaround.
Yep, exactly. 6 p.m., right? 9/3 is Thursday. Pretty sure?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, check it out, and we'll go from there. We will be back in just a little while. This is the Baxter and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
All right, Grant. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
Great.
It's Monday, but you seem to be holding up pretty well.
I'm trying really hard.
I appreciate it.
You just have to take the school year by the neck, ring it around a little bit, and bang its head on the ground, shake it till there's no movement, and then just take control of it, you know?
Wow, Grant. Violence.
Is that a little too violent?
That's a bit violent.
All
I
right,
mean, I
sounds
feel
good.
that way with some of my classes. Well, when I had classes, thankfully I graduated, but that seems a bit violent.
I'll give it a hug instead. How about that?
Hug
kill
it
with
and then
love.
Kill it with love.
Kill it with love.
Kill it with kindness. I think that's the phrase.
Yeah,
the way it
I
goes.
think so, yeah.
Something like that. All right, Grant. Well, we talked about injuries at a stadium 2 segments ago. And we had a bit of an audible. We had to call an Omaha, New York bozo because we weren't able to, 318, 318, whatever, everybody said go. We had to call an audible with our show because we were not able to get Connor Christensen on. There was some issues with his phone this morning, so we weren't able to get him to call in. So we missed Connor for that one, but we'll chat with him later on in the week. So we were able to get a hold of our injury expert. Now, we call him an expert for several different reasons, more so along the fact that he's had so many. And we talk about injuries across the sports world. We talk about concussions.
Right.
Concussions will rattle your socks off, literally.
It's been a big deal.
It has. So we thought we'd bring in someone that has had not 1, not 2, not 4, but 6 concussions.
Wow.
So we're going to bring in one of our good friends of the show, Corey Plath, and have him help us hash out the concussion issues. So, Corey, welcome to the show. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Oh, we're doing dandy, man. We're excited to have you on the show. I wish it was for a lighter topic. I hope this doesn't bring any bad memories up for you, or you don't crash and burn on your way to work this morning. I'd feel really bad. But we're talking about concussions, Corey. You, of all people, like you mentioned, has quite the history with them. Why don't you run us through, first of all, your history with the concussions?
Well, long story short, I've had 6 concussions, as you guys said. 3 were from basketball and 3 were from soccer.
You played basketball?
Yeah.
Oh.
Played,
The more you know.
was a 3-year basketball player and couldn't play the 4th year due to the concussion.
Not knowing where the
so-
court was.
Well, that was it, too.
Ah,
So,
fair enough.
And it didn't come from necessarily all elbow contact, although there were some that were. Some of them came from directly my head being the first to hit the ground. Some of it came from me taking a ball to the head right away not realizing that I probably shouldn't have gone for the header.
Yeah.
So, and those 6 concussions came from a span of 5 years
Wow.
between my 8th grade year of high school and 4 years. My eighth grade.
You had 6 concussions in the span of 4 years?
Correct.
How were you
So
allowed
from
to
8th
play
grade
sports?
to junior. Well, there wasn't that knowledge of concussions at the time. There was, and when I first went to the trainer, I was told, just wait 2 weeks and you'll be good to go.
Wait,
you
2
don't
weeks.
you don't hear that anymore.
No, it's
No.
tell me your name, your street address, your blood type, your social security card number, bank account information. Okay, you don't know it. You're done. He's got a concussion. He's not good. I couldn't tell you that even if I wasn't concussed, honestly.
Right.
My gosh. Well, Corey, if this continued to be such a problem for you, and it continues to be a problem in the sports world, as we were just talking about with Jared Aberdarius with the Green Bay Packers and multiple other, just sports figures in general. Wes Welker's had his fair share. Scott Tolzien had one. What is, I don't want to put a number on it, but hypothetically, if a player continues to get concussed, at what point do you feel like is a time that they just need to, that either the league needs to say, look, you've had X amount of concussions, or as a player you say, look, I've had X amount of concussions, I need to stop playing?
And there's been concerns with lawsuits at the NFL level, too.
Yes, there was a
And
massive
players
settlement
coming
just a
back.
few years ago.
Yeah, and players coming back and saying, well, you didn't tell us. And the NFL really didn't have any knowledge of the situation. It wasn't until, a couple of years ago that the NFL realized, and And doctors in general realized that concussions were a main thing.
How do you
I
not
remember
have
back
knowledge
when-
about that? That's just the part that boggles me, Grant. I mean, and Corey, too.
But
It's like, how do you
when
not
I
know?
when I was in high school, I had teachers that didn't even know what a concussion was. And they had a struggle trying to figure out, well, I really can't focus on this because it hurts to try and concentrate.
Oh, jeez.
So it's basically, to describe what a concussion is for those people that have never had one, it's you can't focus. It's like the worst migraine you've ever felt.
Maybe I've had more of those than I
you
thought.
just completely, you completely are zoned out. You can't fully concentrate on one particular thing because you're just completely unaware of what's going on around you.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, to my knowledge, I think I've only had one concussion in my time, and that came from flag football. I know, flag football, but it was just a communication or miscommunication in the backfield for me. But Grant, what about you?
Well, I have not had any concussions, thankfully.
I'll hit him for you, Corey.
I
so he can catch up to you.
I almost got one. If it wasn't for a hat, I would have smacked my head pretty hard
for those
against
meddling kids and that dog.
Pretty hard against the ice, because curling, number one injury, concussion and joint injuries.
Really? Curling? You get concussions in curling?
Yeah, because
clobbered with the stones?
You're wearing Teflon, which is slippery, but
suppose.
putting it to ice.
I suppose.
Teflon plus ice, and when it's on one of your feet, you're going everywhere. That's what happened to me. My second day of curling, I was flying down the ice. I'm like, oh, look how fast I can go. And then my foot went out from under me, and I smacked my head. I landed with my head. And if I wasn't wearing a wool hat, I probably would have had a very nice concussion.
Wow. It can happen anywhere, I guess. That's good to know.
It really can. But going back to what you were saying, Baxter, is like, how do they not know that concussions were serious? Because looking at it now, players, past players who have played like 20 years ago, let's say, or 30 years ago, and then looking at them today, some of them cannot function very well with some of the concussions that they've had.
Even looking back, I mean, and I know they bring it upon themselves, but even like old boxers,
right?
Like, I get it. Like, you make a living getting your face beat in. I get it, but still, like, the concussions, the multiple injuries that those guys even sustain too. Like, you see some of the like great boxers nowadays, and they look like bowls of jelly sitting in chairs sometimes because they like can't even form like 10 words together because they don't know. Their brain is just so frazzled and toast from all the head injuries and stuff. But I know boxing is a different arena when it comes to head injuries because it's expected.
Right.
You play the sport to get punched in the face.
Pretty much. Now, Corey, question for you. Packers fans, if you're aware of the wide receiver situation with Jared Aberdare, we brought it up earlier, he's been out for a month and a half. He sustained a concussion first day of practice.
Yes.
That was about a month and a half ago. So why is it taking so long for him to clear? Because it seems like it only takes a week or two sometimes.
Usually, yeah.
In the past, but now it's been taking for him a month and a half. Since you've had such an experience with concussions, what do you think could be going on?
What could be holding it up, honestly? Like, let's get it going here.
Each concussion is different from the next. You don't have one particular set time in which you're going to come out of it, and each body heals differently than the next two. And so when you get a concussion, you have blood that enters the brain, which causes it to hurt, and so you need that blood to relieve itself and get out of that area. And so any swelling that it needs to go down. And plus, what they brought in a couple of years ago, which, again, didn't happen until my senior year of high school, was a concussion protocol test.
Yeah.
And so you have a baseline test in which you take when you haven't been concussed or have fully recovered from a concussion, and it tests your reflexes, and it tests your memory and different things like that in which a concussion affects. And then until you get back to that point, then you're not allowed to play.
But it makes sense, yeah. I definitely you can't be if you're not fully cleared. Why would you have no reason to be out on the field? You're not going to be in full range of your faculties.
And the other thing with some of the past concussions in the past years where you've heard, they were concussed on a Monday night and they're playing on Sunday. A lot of that has to do with the player. You know, how many times, Baxter or Grant, have you played and you're like, well, I probably shouldn't, but I'm not going to tell the coach I have this nagging injury.
Yeah, I've done that more than 100 times, but that's just because
And
I love soccer.
Right. And so these people love what they're doing, and they will do anything to play. And, you know, there's several players that have come out and said, you know what, I've had many concussions. And you know what, I just didn't tell the coach because, one, that was a sign of weakness, because that's how it was originally perceived.
Right.
Oh, you just have a headache and it's no big deal. And the other thing is that they just want to play. They want to earn their paycheck.
Yeah,
And so...
And definitely, like, looking at this time of the football season, talking about Jared Abbrederis, if that happened during a game, or any rookie player that's trying to make a roster that doesn't have a very solid roster spot, why would you want to risk your career because that could change your entire career? Because if you are held from a game, what if you go off in a certain preseason game, you're held on the roster, and you can start a game or make an appearance in a game and make a big impact, and that might go away and you might never play in the NFL again because you had a concussion.
Well,
so why would you want to bring it up?
Exactly. And Corey, as we get ready to let you go here, I think the one person that comes to mind for me also is Chris Borland.
Right.
You know, he only played a year for the San Francisco 49ers and then retired. He sustained some injuries and was like, look, being able to be in control of my body and all my faculties for the rest of my life is way more important than making a few $1 million playing professional football. He can go around, he's spreading, you know, his story and trying to help with concussion safety and just safety in football as a whole, which I think is fantastic. Yes, I would have loved to have seen him in the league for many, many more years, but
he was a great player.
He was. And I think he made the right move, honestly. So, well, Corey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it was a little impromptu, but we appreciate you jumping on the line and chatting about concussions for us, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Yeah, you guys too.
Appreciate it, man.
And for everyone out at Packer Nation, don't worry about Jared. He'll be back.
Absolutely. You heard it here first from Corey Plath. Thanks a lot, Corey. Enjoy your day, man.
All right, you guys too. Bye.
Thanks. All right, Grant, we're going to go to one more break. When we come back, maybe you're going to throw one this year, too. Everybody's throwing no-hitters, Grant.
I mean, I could. My arm's
ready
to
go.
There.
The Brewers could use a pitcher. We'll get you out there. All right, we're going to come back talking about the no-hitters. It continues. And who figured? The Cubs. Cubs
are good, man. Cubs are good.
I guess. We're going to talk about it. Don't go anywhere. This is the Baxton Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Well, Grant, the final segment of our show has arrived, which means we have an interesting story to talk about. And as we mentioned earlier in the show, we are going to be talking about a no-hitter that happened.
Another no-hitter.
Another no-hitter. I swear every other day is a no-hitter.
Right, or like threatening of a no-hitter. I get the updates to my phone because on my little ESPN app that I have, I flag like Baseball News or whatever. I don't know which one that does it, but I get warnings of no-hitters, like when they get to the 7th inning or 6th inning with no hit.
Yep.
ESPN will tell me so-and-so.
Hey, Grant. Hey, Grant.
Hey, guess what? No-hitter. Might happen.
Check it out.
And it has been happening a lot this year. It seems like every week there is a threat to a no-hitter or every other week.
What does that say, though?
It's really been a big year of the pitcher, and the same thing as last year. Actually, the last couple of years, it's been big on pitchers. And it happens in baseball, there's kind of like this ebb and flow of which is more dominant. Like, if you look just for example, just looking at no-hitters, there has been 6 this year, and the record, I believe, I went back and counted through 100 years of baseball. This is for you, ladies and gentlemen.
This guy.
There was 7, which was actually in 2012, most recently.
So we're only one away.
Yeah, there has been 6 this year. A couple that have gone to the 9th inning this year. It's been very close.
Yeah, there was a few that have been like an out away.
Yeah, but then looking at some seasons, like in 2002, there was only 1 no-hitter. Or other years, there had been only 1 no-hitters or maybe even no no-hitters at all season. And now there have been 6 this year. And like I was saying, in baseball, there's kind of an ebb and a flow of which is better, hitting or pitching. And that just has to do with talent and also rules because they have changed wall, like lengths of how far the wall's away, stuff like that, how fields need to be designed. It depends on what field you're playing at because some fields are more pitching fields, some are more batter fields. And it just depends. Like bats and the different, like how they make the balls changed throughout the years and progression of baseball. So that has changed how successful different people are, or batters or pitchers are. But this year has been absolutely nuts. And it's the most recently, it's just been absolutely crazy about the last 5 years, how many no-hitters there have been. And no-hitters are a very difficult task to do in baseball. It has only been done a couple hundred times by a handful of pitchers, so it is a huge accomplishment. And just a really just fun little fact about no-hitters, because I found this out last night.
Yes,
and I was just blown away. And this also happened in 2012. It was part of the record year for most no-hitters. I believe it's 7. I went all the way back to 1900, so we should be okay. Or I could have miscounted. You never know.
Anyway.
But you can have combined no-hitters.
Okay.
If different pitchers come in, but you pitch 9 innings, and you pitch that no-hitter. The record is 6 combined pitchers for a no-hitter. That happened in 2012, and it was the Mariners. The Seattle Mariners did that. I'm not going to read off all the names because there's a bunch of them. Another little fun, interesting no-hitter fact, there have been a couple no-hitters where they have pitched 9 innings, no-hit baseball, go into extra innings because their batters aren't doing anything, and they lose the game in extra innings after.
Come on.
Yeah, or they get a hit and then lose the game.
That's brutal.
In extra innings. And then there was one where the guy got a no-hitter but lost the game in 9 innings because there was 2 back-to-back errors where a guy was able to go all the way around the bases. He got the loss, but he still pitched a no-hitter.
That's awesome.
Talk about run support.
No kidding. Honestly, I think that's funny as heck. I think one other thing that's funny is the last 2 no-hitters that have happened in the league, Grant, have been against the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Jake Arrieta throwing a no-hitter last night, and then Mike Fiers throwing one back on the 21st. Well, Grant, it's been another exciting edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Special thanks to Corey Plath for coming on the show and chatting with us earlier. We've had a great conversation today so far. We really enjoy it. And remember, you can catch us Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live right here on Spreaker.com. And from 11 to 1 Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com, live 365, and tune in. And then on demand, anytime, anywhere, in the house, in the car, in the tub, anywhere. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, and on Spreaker.com as well.
And then you can also find us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat by using the handle BG Sports Show. Baxter's personal Twitter is Baxter Colburn. Mine is @GrantsRant. You can also, by using the hashtag #TheBaxGrantSportsShow on Instagram, that picture will show up on the homepage of Sports Radio America.
Absolutely. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us. We love doing what we do. We love hearing from you as well, so thank you for your continued support. For those of you that watched us on Periscope today, thank you so much. Great little chatting with you guys. Remember, you can watch us Monday through Friday on Periscope and listen to us also. All right, Grant, well, we got to sign off. Any final thoughts?
Fun little thing, I forgot that this guy was played, but he pitched back-to-back no-hitters, one in 2012, one in 2013. His name is Homer Bailey.
That's fantastic.
Funny.
Homer
Bailey.
Homer Bailey not giving up any homers.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, he's Grant Coppersmith. I'm Baxter Colburn. We will see all of you back here tomorrow for a Tuesday edition of the Baxter and Grant Sports Show. Enjoy your day. Take care. Be good. Be safe. And remember, go Pack Go. Have a good day, everyone.